David C. Pack.
Millions are growing deeply concerned about the Middle East, the region foretold millennia ago to lie at the center of the very biggest and worst events ever to occur on earth. While some Bible students seem to sense at least this much, they do not know in any detail what these events are or why they will come. Most who write about the Bible do not realize this book interprets itself. That if a symbol is used in a prophecy, and most prophecies involve symbols, the author, God, would not leave the most crucial questions, those involving all humanity, subject to human interpretation. He would provide clues, necessary vital keys to understanding the large portions of His Word devoted to future events. He would also make known that He is the author of the Bible, and He would make absolutely clear that the Bible is a book backed by His authority, that it is His divinely revealed instruction book, and that this need not merely be accepted on faith. God would provide proof of all the things He says. Behind me is the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. For thousands of years, this location has been coveted by Jews and Muslims alike. But did you know that the Bible has much to say about what will happen here in just a few short years? We begin by looking at what Jesus said about the end-time fulfillment of the much talked about Abomination of Desolation. But what is this abomination? Many know the term Abomination of Desolation, but almost none know what it means. You will see that the abomination that makes desolate has two aspects or applications. One is primary, the other secondary. Get this clear before continuing. The prophecy first appears in Daniel 8. Let's read from chapter 12. From the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that makes desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Covered in other broadcasts, the abomination appears 1,290 days before Jesus returns. The first clue that Jesus gave about this abomination comes from Luke. Notice, "When you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof, of Jerusalem, is near. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains." God's people are told to flee the city at this point. When the verse describes the city being surrounded, it says desolation is near. If something is near, it has not happened yet. The army's desolation of Jerusalem, in fact, comes 30 days later. This will become clear. Matthew's account reveals the primary event to look for. "When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso reads, let him understand," Christ says. Notice again, "Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains." Matthew 24 approaches the subject from a different perspective than Luke 21, which described armies gathering. But Luke and Matthew both speak of God's people who are watching for these two things and fleeing when they happen. We have so far clarified 2 points. One, armies around Jerusalem precede its desolation, but two, this prophecy primarily involves something less obvious, but worse, an abomination standing in the holy place, desolating it. Keep this simple. Do not allow mixed up theories, suppositions, and assumptions you might have heard to cloud the plain understanding of what God reveals. Mark 13 removes all doubt about the abomination standing in the holy place and whether it should be there. "When you shall see the abomination of desolation," now notice, "standing where it ought not, in the holy place, let him that reads understand." Clearly, the abomination is something that does not belong where it is, in the holy place. Also note that Mark adds the identical phrase, "Then let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains. Now, what exactly is this holy place? The context makes plain that it is not figurative, but refers to a literal place, a religious site. Recognize, however, that this place cannot be a pagan religious site. It must be a location God considers, or once considered, holy, with something foreign and blasphemous placed there. History and other scriptures outside the Gospels reveal this must be an at least partially rebuilt temple in Jerusalem. The parallel appearance of both aspects of the abomination are the signals for God's people to flee. This makes understanding the prophecy much more crucial. What happens after the fleeing is in Luke's account. First, again, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries, more correctly the country, enter thereinto. What happens next? For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written by the prophets may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. That's all the modern nations descended from Jacob. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And, now get this, Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Revelation 11 offers a parallel description from Christ through John of what happens to Jerusalem. Let's read. The Gentiles and the holy city shall they, the Gentiles, tread underfoot 42 months. It should be obvious this treading by Gentiles must be referring to how long Jerusalem is being trodden down of the Gentiles, as Luke put it. Although the armies around Jerusalem desolate the city, they do not stand in the holy place, as Antiochus' statue did in 168 BC. Remember, this end-time event is dual. Two events will occur. One, a blasphemous idol will desolate the temple, or more likely a rebuilt altar. Something must be built in order to have sacrifices. And two, the army desolates the city. Antiochus did both, setting up an idol in Zerubbabel's temple and sacrificing a pig on the altar and then desolating the city. He therefore becomes an important type for both. Antiochus Epiphanes was a forerunning type of the false prophet, but also of the beast. Also understand that the ultimate fulfillment of the abomination is not only a statue being set up, it is the final leader of the religious system, the human personification of the Babylonish whore who enters Jerusalem saying, I am God. When the false prophet directs the beast to erect a statue at the site of the reconstituted daily sacrifices, the abomination will officially stand in the holy place. Jerusalem's desolation will then come from the armies that surround it. To learn more, watch my full-length broadcast on this subject. You may also wish to read this book, The Bible's Greatest Prophecies Unlocked. A Voice Cries Out. One final time, all of the events we have been describing will take place right here. Until next time, from Jerusalem, this is David C. Pack saying, goodbye, friends.